What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about something that I think everyone is going to be able to relate to on some sort of level, at least everyone who's had some sort of pets or had any sort of ongoing connection with these furry felines or furry animals overall. So today we're going to be talking about really cool studies that has been done recently that I've read, where it's cats and dogs may actually protect owners from memory loss in later life. So obviously, as always, I'm going to go ahead and be sure to link this discussion, the source where I'm getting this information from, in the description below, so I highly recommend you guys go ahead and check it out. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into it, okay? So, how many of you guys have owned any pet, whether it be a dog or a cat? I'm assuming it's going to be a grand majority of you guys. And if it has, how many of you guys have actually owned them for 5 years or longer? Well, it turns out that according to the University of Michigan Medical Center in Ann Arbor, the results suggest that pet ownership may be protective against cognitive decline. So the way this had to be tested, because that's a pretty bold claim you're making, right? You're making the connection that having an animal, a pet, is going to be directly linked, or in some sort of way indirectly linked to our cognitive health. Right, so the study looked at cognitive data from 1,369 older adults, the average age of 65, and looked at their cognitive skills and obviously varied them with pets compared to those without pets. So the way they did it was 53% of these adults owned pets, 32% were longtime pet owners, which was something that defined 5 years or more of owning a pet. In terms of their study, like the participants, their ethnicities and races, 88% were Caucasian, 7% were African American, 2% were Hispanic, and then 3% were of another ethnicity or race. So the way they actually ended up doing this is that they used the data from the Health and Retirement Study, which is something, it's a large study of Medicare beneficiaries. And basically, people in the study were given multiple cognitive tests, right? So these researchers took out these tests, they give them to all these participants, and they scored them, right? Ranging from 0 to 27, 27 being the highest, 0 being the lowest. And they looked at these cognitive tests. So over 6 years, what the results ended up coming back as was actually really, really, really interesting, because it turns out that over 6 years, cognitive scores decreased at a slower rate in those who had pets, right? Those pet owners. And in those who had pets for a long period of time, which remember was defined as 5 years or more, they actually ended up scoring 1.2 points higher at 6 years compared to the non-pet owners, which is really insane, or at least to me, right? Because this goes to show that having an animal is actually directly related, in this case, to higher cognitive function. So how does this work? What exactly is happening here? A lot of us going through life, we end up going through stress, right? Different levels of stress, and stress is something that can definitely negatively affect cognitive function, right? Pets, they serve as this potential stress buffer, right? They relieve stress. They help in some cases increase physical activity when you go take them out for walks. You go to the park with them, you play with them, and all that has benefits, cognitive health benefits. And it helps play a role that having these animals around and then taking care of them and spending time with them ends up relieving that stress, because you're not so focused on your own daily problems, right? When you're hugging a dog, the last thing you're going to be worried about is someone reaching you by your car's extended warranty, right? Like you're not going to be thinking about that kind of stuff. You're going to be thinking about how you can express how much you love your animal. It was also shown that those who scored higher were college educated, and if those adults actually were also men. I personally think that this is very, very, very important to know, because a lot of us growing up at some point have had pets. Most of us tend to nowadays, and it's something that it does help us relieve stress. And it's very important to mental health, because the more awareness we can bring around this, and obviously, this is an ongoing research. It's actually something that's going to be presented at the American Academy of Neurology's 74th annual meeting, and then they're going to do a virtual one later in April. And I think that if this actually ends up gaining any sort of traction, it's going to be really important, because just imagine in the future, you get these adults, right? Like as we grow older in age, we're encouraged to have these animals with us, right? And that's gonna greatly increase the cognitive function of us as adults, whether it's because it keeps us active, because they relieve stress, they help us focus on being with each other instead of just how we feel like we're alone. I honestly think that this is something that should be promoted more. So I think that if you guys can definitely look and find something, get something out of this, then that's honestly what matters, right? So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, these kind of videos, please go ahead and make sure to drop down a like, drop a comment if you have anything you'd like for me to cover next in the scientific news. Maybe even share the video around if you guys really enjoyed it. I try to make these as often as possible, and honestly, even if you guys don't want to leave a like or do any of those things, as long as you guys were able to take something away from this video, that's honestly what matters to me the most. So thank you guys very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if not, then I'll go ahead and see you on the next video, yeah? Stay awesome, everyone.